looking at the concept of what is known as completion of measure spaces. Well, in the last lecture, we started with what is known as the so-called extension of measures. Well, let me start with the same. Let me begin with the same definition. Right. So let omega be.
Sir,
Ah.
we are unable to see
Oh,
you.
oh, oh, okay. I haven't shared. Sorry. Yes. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Let omega be any set. A function mu star from the power set of omega to 0 comma infinity is called an outer measure if it satisfies the following three conditions. First one, mu star of the empty set should be 0, right? Second one, A contained in B implies mu star of A is less than or equal to mu star of B. Third one is what is known as countable subadditivity, mu of the union should be less than or equal to summation over n in n, well, mu star. Yeah, right. Yeah, so this is the second one is what is known as monotonicity. Third one is countable subadditivity. Right. So let me begin with the lemma. Let A naught be an algebra on a set omega and mu naught from 2 raised to the power, from A naught to 0 comma infinity B, you are given some function such that mu naught of empty is 0. Right. Now define mu star from 2 raised to the power omega to 0 comma infinity as mu star of A equal to infimum over sum of mu naught of an such that A is contained in union over n in n an with an, all these an coming from A naught for all n in n. Right. Then mu star is an outer measure. On omega. Okay, so the proof have left it as an exercise, but anyhow, if you cannot do it, then you should be able to do it in the tutorials, right? Fine. Yes, so once you have, so if you look at the Lebesgue outer measure, we started with what is known as the definition of Lebesgue outer measure, and then we verified all these properties, and then what else did we do? We saw that at most what you can expect is only the countable subadditivity. Only that much can be expected there. That's what we saw. And then what else did we do? What did we do there in the context of Lebesgue outer measure?
We constructed a set, a countable set such that
Right. So
it
through
fails.
which we showed that subadditivity cannot be improved. There are sets for which additivity fails. And then next. Next one. After the example. After showing that additivity is not possible, what else did we show? What did we do for showing that it is countably additive? Because we were expecting countable additivity. So what did we do?
We defined Lebesgue measurable sets.
We defined a new class of sets, what are known as the so-called Lebesgue measurable sets, and there we showed that this Lebesgue outer measure, when you restrict it to this new class, there it is going to be countably additive, right? So we are going to do the same thing. Definition. Let mu star be an outer measure. On a set omega, right? Okay, so how did we define a set to be Lebesgue measurable? How did we define?
If for every set A, M star A equals to M star A intersection E plus M star A intersection E complement, then we say E is Lebesgue measurable.
Exactly. Right. So we said that that a set E subset of omega or R is Lebesgue measurable if for every A subset of omega, every A subset of R, M star of A should be same as M star of A intersection with E plus M star of A intersection with E complement. This is what we said. This is how we defined there, right? So we are going to do the same thing. Instead of R, here we have omega. Instead of M star, here we have mu star. That's the only difference. Right. So we say that a set E subset of omega is mu star measurable if for every A subset of omega, mu star of A should be same as mu star of A intersection with E plus mu star of A intersection with E complement, right? Right. So as usual, so what was the simple observation that we made there? Few observations that we made.
This set is closed under complementation.
Exactly right. And then not set. Do not call it a set, because this whatever we have, that itself the elements are itself sets. So maybe call it as collection or family. Hmm. Right. So something more in terms of additivity, subadditivity.
This set is countably additive.
Which set is countably additive? I
I
don't know.
mean, uh, the Lebesgue measurable sets, they are countably additive.
That means I don't understand. Countable additivity is something for a measure. What you have is we haven't even shown that.
Uh, when we restrict our M star in context of Lebesgue measurable sets,
Not in terms of that. What I'm asking is something else. We made a remark that it is enough to show that.
Star E less than equal to that.
Mu star A is always less than or equal to mu star of A intersection E plus mu star of A intersection E complement. That's right. So let me again make a remark. Since mu star is countably additive, in fact not additive, it is subadditive, sorry. It is only subadditive, sorry. Mu star is countably subadditive. It follows that mu star of A is less than or equal to mu star of A intersection with E plus mu star of A intersection with E complement. For any A comma E subset of omega. That is independent of whatever it may be. Whatever be the sets, this is always going to hold. Thus, in order to show that a set E subset of omega is mu star measurable, it is enough to show that mu star of A is bigger than or equal to mu star of A intersection with E plus mu star of A intersection with E complement, right? So if we can show this much, then we are done to show that a set is mu star measurable, right? So now here comes the so-called Carathéodory's extension theorem. Right. So let mu star be an outer measure. On a set omega. And let A be the family of mu star measurable subsets of omega. Further, let us call this mu as mu star restricted to this A. That is the restriction of mu star to the collection of all mu star measurable subsets. Then, yes, so first one is that the collection script A is a sigma algebra. Second one, the function mu is a measure. Right. And third one, just give me 2 minutes, huh? Sorry. Yeah, the triplet omega A mu is complete. Right. Whatever we did in the case of Lebesgue outer measure, the same proof works. So, the same procedure, whatever we did there, whatever with the lemma, theorem, whatever we have stated, state the same thing even in this case, and you should be able to prove it. Right? So, I put whatever the needed things, I put it in the tutorial sheets. So, I want each one of you to write down the proof, please. Please write down the proof. We will discuss the proofs. If you cannot, we will discuss the proofs during the tutorial. Proof. So let me leave it as an exercise. Right. Right. So again, if you look at this theorem, we wanted an outer measure. Only then things will work. So how to get an outer measure? Where from do we get an outer measure? See, in the case of R, there was a natural function that helped us. What was that? What was the function that helped us in the case of Lebesgue outer measure?
Length of intervals.
Exactly, the length function that helped us to find out, or to at least to define the so-called Lebesgue outer measure. Right? So even if you look at the previous one, if you have something, if you look at this lemma, if you have something on an algebra, then you can get an outer measure, right? And if you have an outer measure, you can extend it. Right? So now we are going to look at something similar. And if you look at length function, It is also, if you look at it is also countably additive, that can be noticed. The length function is countably additive whenever the algebra is closed under. So whenever you take a countable union of sets, in fact disjoint, then all these things make sense, right? Whatever we wanted to, fine. So let me define, motivated by this length, let omega be any set and let a naught subset of 2 raised to the power, that is the power set, be an algebra. A function mu naught from a naught to 0 comma infinity is called a pre-measure if mu naught of mt is 0, second one an n in n is any sequence of pairwise disjoint sets in a naught such that the union, because in an algebra countable union need not be again there in the algebra itself. So whenever such a thing happens in a naught, then mu naught of the union is equal to the sum of the individual. Because a measure is defined only on a sigma algebra. But here, this behaves like a measure, but it is defined only on a algebra. Therefore, this is what is known as this is called as a pre-measure. Right. So let me make some easy remarks. First one, every pre-measure is finitely additive, which means that a pre-measure is a finitely additive measure defined on an algebra, right? So it's only finitely additive, right? Second one. So just as how you have finite measures and sigma finite measures, the same notions make sense even in the case of pre-measures. So the notions of way of finite and sigma finite pre-measures can be defined just as in the case of measures. Right. Third one, Yeah, so if you look at this one, where this lemma. So what does it tell us? Yeah, what does this lemma tell us? What does it tell us?
Like you can construct outer measure from the pre-measure.
Exactly. So every pre-measure induces an outer measure. Right? So in fact, so how in accordance with the, well, I'll put it as first lemma, because that was the first lemma that we stated in this. Right. Right. Fine. So few things that were observed. What is that? Every pre-measure induces a outer measure, and every outer measure gives rise to the collection of Lebesgue measurable sets, or in fact, if it gives rise to a outer measure mu star, and then you get what is known as the collection of mu star measurable sets. And once you restrict this outer measure to this mu star, you get what is known as a measure. Right. That's what the extension theorem says. In the case of length, so you have the algebra generated by all intervals. The algebra of, in fact, you look at only the left open intervals. Take their disjoint union, the disjoint union of all Lebesgue, sorry, disjoint union, finite disjoint union of all left open intervals, that is going to form an algebra, and from this algebra there are so many things, so yeah, so that is going to form an algebra, and with this algebra, so there the concept of length makes sense. And once you have this notion of length, this can be extended to whole of the power set. How did we do that? The so-called what is known as the Lebesgue outer measure. There is an important property of the Lebesgue outer measure that we observe. What is that? What is the relation between length of an interval and the Lebesgue measure, outer measure?
They both are the same.
Exactly. So the Lebesgue outer measure is induced by the length function. And finally, what did we find? The first thing that we found is that the length function, sorry, the length of an interval coincides with the Lebesgue outer measure of an interval. This is one of the important property that we observe. Right. So natural question is that if you have a pre-measure, it induces an outer measure. Now, although this pre-measure is defined only on algebra, now if I restrict this outer measure to this algebra, will this outer measure coincide with the original pre-measure that we have? The answer is yes, and that's what we are going to see now. Yes. So let me begin with a proposition. If mu naught is a pre-measure on A naught, and mu star is the corresponding outer measure then first one, mu star of E is equal to mu naught of E for all E coming from this A naught. Second one is that. So second thing, so there, if you look at the Lebesgue, so once you have this Lebesgue measurable sets, in the context of Lebesgue measurable sets, the most important thing, how did we show that this collection is non-empty? In fact, we produced a large class of sets, what are known as the so-called intervals. So, which means that because the length function was initially defined on the interval, and we are able to show that this all the intervals they are also part of this Lebesgue measurable sets. Yeah. So every set here mu naught is defined on the given algebra A naught, and every set in A naught is also mu star measurable. Every set in A naught is mu star measurable. Right. So let's first prove this part. First one, let E belong to A naught. Fine. So if E is contained in, so if E is contained in this union with all ANs coming from this A naught, so let me write Bn. So because I am going to write it as disjoint union. Let me write it as E intersection with AN minus union J running from 1 to N minus 1 AJ. Right. So having defined this, then this Bn is a disjoint collection of from A and how is it going to? Right. So this is a disjoint collection from A naught, and union is going to nothing but whole of E. Right. Fine. So we are going to make use of this. Therefore, mu naught of E. Now this is same as mu naught of the union right, but mu naught it's a pre-measure, and therefore it is, this is going to be summation over n and n mu naught of Bn, right? Yeah, so the union is also inside A naught, which is an algebra, and therefore there it is going to be countably additive. That's what we have used. And then each Bn is, how did we write this Bn? Yeah. So each Bn, it is contained in AN. Right, so this you can observe, which is part of AN, and therefore, and mu naught is monotone. So same proof, whatever we did there, that same thing holds. So this is say less than or equal to summation over n in n mu naught of AN. Right, fine. Right, so if you have a collection of sets from A naught containing E, then mu naught of E is less than or equal to the sum of the individual. That's what we have observed, right? Now this is true for, so there is nothing very special about this collection. We haven't chosen. If you have a collection containing E, then mu naught of E is less than or equal to the sum of the individual, right? That's what we have seen. So since this is true, for every sequence AN contained in A naught whose union covers E, it follows that. So what does it tell us? What does it tell us? This inequality is true for every such collection. Therefore, how did we define mu star? Just go back, look at the definition of mu star. Look at the definition of mu star.
Thus we get mu naught of E equals to mu star of E.
Equal to.
Less than equal to.
Exactly. Follows that mu naught of E is less than or equal to mu star of E, because it's only defined, mu star of E is defined as the infimum of all the sums, and this inequality holds for any such collection, from any such countable collection from A naught whose union covers E, and therefore for the infimum, right? So we have proved one way inequality, so we will have to show the other way inequality, right? Now on the other hand, for the other way, let me call A1 as E and AN as MT for all n bigger than or equal to 2. Then E is contained in this union. Therefore, it is a consequence of the definition that mu star of E is less than or equal to summation over n in n mu naught of AN. Yes. So mu naught of AN. So mu naught of A by definition on the empty sets it is 0. Yeah. So and therefore this is only the first term survives. All other terms are 0. Therefore this is same as just mu naught of E. That's it, done. So we have proved 1. So thus mu star of E is equal to mu naught of E for all E in A naught, right? Yeah, second one, that requires some time. Yeah, so I don't want to rush through. Yeah, well, let me finish it. Well, there is not a difficult one, but still. Yeah, what is the second one? Second one will have to show that every set is mu star measurable. That is, every set coming from this A naught is mu star measurable, right? So let, as usual, E belong to A naught. So, and so to show this, let E subset of, sorry, A subset of omega so we are going to use the epsilon trick and epsilon greater than 0. So once you have an epsilon, then there exists a sequence Bn n contained in E naught such that this A is contained in the union over n Bn and summation over n mu naught of Bn is less than or equal to mu star of A plus epsilon. Yeah, this is what we are going to use. Therefore, mu star of A intersection with E plus mu star of A intersection with E complement. This is what we wanted, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, there should be, we have assumed that E belongs to A naught.
Yes.
So, the result should be E is contained in union and belonging to B and N.
No. A is contained in. Because this outer measure, this makes sense for any set coming from omega. Outer measure is defined on the power set. And therefore this makes sense.
Okay, sir, okay.
Yeah, so which is less than or equal to. Now mu star is, it's an outer measure, therefore this is monotone, and because E is A is contained in this union. So I am going to use this one. Mu star of union over n Bn intersection with E plus mu star of the union intersection with E complement, right? Fine. So let me now use the associativity of the, distributivity between union and intersection. Therefore, this is going to be union over n Bn intersection with E plus mu star of union over n Bn intersection with E complement, right? Now mu star is countably subadditive. Let me use that. So therefore this is less than or equal to summation over n mu star of Bn intersection with E plus summation over n mu star of Bn intersection with E complement, right? Right. So now this is same as summation over n and let me bring them in the same under same summation plus mu star of Bn intersection with E complement, right? Fine. Where do these Bn's belong to? Where do these Bn's belong to? E. Where does it belong to?
Not
A naught. And therefore Bn intersection E,
A not.
A naught, because it's an algebra. Similarly, Bn intersection E complement, it is also in A naught. And just now we proved in 1 that on A naught, mu star coincides with mu naught. So therefore, this is same as summation over n in n, mu naught of Bn intersection with E plus mu naught of Bn intersection with E complement, right? Now, mu naught is, it's a pre-measure, which means it is finitely additive, and therefore this is same as summation over n in n, mu naught of the union, which is mu naught of Bn. How did we choose these Bn's? Summation over n in n, mu naught of Bn, this is less than or equal to mu star of A plus epsilon, and that's exactly what we wanted. Yes. So letting epsilon tend to 0. So since epsilon is arbitrary, you let it tend to 0, okay, mu star of A is bigger than or equal to mu star of A intersection with E plus mu star of A intersection with E complement. That's it, done, and that's exactly what we wanted. Right? And we are done. That means what? That means mu star is, sorry, E is mu star measurable. Done. Right, so I'll stop here.